I never thought my own flesh and blood would look me in the eye and destroy a little girl's dream just to prove a point. But that's exactly what happened the day my family trashed my 7-year-old daughter's birthday cake. To make matters worse, after treating us like absolute garbage, they had the nerve to try and use my name, my reputation, and my hard-earned money to fund my younger sister's lavish wedding. I am still shaking as I write this down, and I need to know from people who aren't blinded by twisted family loyalty. Was I wrong for what I did to them? Tell me if you would have done the same thing, or if I truly went too far in tearing my family apart. To understand how things got this bad, you have to understand the dynamic of my family. I am the oldest of 3 siblings, and for as long as I can remember, my younger sister, Chloe, has been the golden child. My parents, Richard and Alina, practically worshipped the ground she walked on. If Chloe wanted something, she got it, no matter the cost, and usually at the expense of me and my brother, Leo. Leo and I learned early on to rely on ourselves, because our parents' emotional and financial resources were always reserved exclusively for Chloe. I moved out the day I turned 18, worked my way through college, and eventually built a successful catering and custom baking business from scratch. It took years of 80-hour work weeks, burns on my arms, and endless financial stress. But today, my bakery is highly regarded in our city, known for high-end, luxury cakes and event catering. I am proud of what I built, but my family always viewed my success not as something to celebrate, but as an asset they were entitled to exploit. My daughter, Lily, is my entire world. She is a sweet, sensitive 7-year-old who has had a rough couple of years dealing with severe asthma and allergies. For her 7th birthday, she didn't want a big party with a bounce house. She just wanted a specific theme. Lily is obsessed with underwater fantasy, and she asked me for a grand, 3-tiered mermaid kingdom cake. Because she's my daughter, and because I finally had the time and resources, I spent 3 straight days perfecting this cake. It was a masterpiece, complete with hand-sculpted sugar glass waves, edible gold leaf, intricate fondant scales, and custom-molded chocolate sea creatures. It was easily a $1,200 cake if a client had ordered it. Lily was over the moon when she saw it chilling in the bakery fridge, and I couldn't wait to cut it for her at the family dinner we had planned at my parents' house. That dinner was supposed to be a small, intimate celebration for Lily, but the moment we walked through my parents' front door, it became clear that the spotlight was not allowed to be on my daughter. Chloe was there, of course, radiant and wearing a massive diamond ring. Apparently, her long-term boyfriend had proposed the night before. Now, I was genuinely happy for her, and Lily immediately gave her aunt a huge hug. But instead of letting Lily have her birthday dinner and celebrating the engagement afterward, my mother instantly turned the entire evening into Chloe's engagement announcement party. The banners I brought for Lily were taken down to make room for generic congratulations decorations my mom hastily pulled from the closet. When it was time for dessert, I brought out Lily's magnificent mermaid cake. Lily's eyes lit up, and she started clapping. But before we could even light the candles, Chloe threw a massive tantrum. She claimed that the cake was too attention-grabbing, and that I was intentionally trying to upstage her engagement with a childish, over-the-top dessert. My mother immediately took Chloe's side, screaming at me for being selfish and trying to steal my sister's thunder on the happiest day of her life. Before I could even process the absurdity of the accusation, my mother grabbed the cake box, walked out to the backyard, and dumped the entire $1,200 masterpiece face down into the trash can, right in front of my sobbing 7-year-old daughter. I was paralyzed with shock and rage. Lily was inconsolable, crying so hard she started wheezing from her asthma. I didn't even say a word to my parents or Chloe. I just scooped Lily up in my arms, grabbed her inhaler, and walked out of that house, vowing to never speak to them again. For 6 months, I blocked all of them. I ignored their texts, their calls, and their flying monkeys. I focused entirely on my daughter, making sure she knew she was loved and rebuilding her confidence. We had a private, redo birthday at home with a new cake, just the 2 of us and my brother Leo, who was the only one to text me and condemn what our mother and sister had done. But then, out of nowhere, the blocking strategy failed when my mother showed up at my actual brick-and-mortar bakery, acting as if absolutely nothing had happened. She walked right up to the counter with a massive, smug smile on her face and handed me a thick binder. She told me that Chloe's wedding was set for the upcoming weekend, and they were ready to finalize the catering and dessert order. I opened the binder, and my jaw dropped. Chloe had planned a 5-course meal for 300 guests, complete with a massive, 6-tier custom wedding cake that would require weeks of preparation and thousands of dollars in premium ingredients. My mother casually said, "Since you're family, we know you'll do this for free as your wedding gift to Chloe. Plus, we've already told the venue and the wedding coordinator that your high-end catering company is handling the food, so we used your business name on all the official city permits and vendor contracts to waive the mandatory venue catering fees." They hadn't just assumed I would work for free. They had literally committed fraud by forging my signature and using my business credentials to secure a high-end venue without paying the standard outside vendor penalties. So that is the exact situation I was in, and I had to make a choice. They had humiliated my daughter, destroyed my hard work, and then legally entangled my business without my consent, all while expecting me to bankroll a lavish wedding for the golden child. Before I tell you the absolute chaos of what happened next, I want you to pause right now and comment below what you would have done in my shoes. Would you have kept the peace for the sake of family, or would you have chosen violence? I decided to play along. I smiled at my mother, took the binder, and told her that I would handle everything and that she didn't need to worry about a single detail for the catering or the cake. She looked relieved, kissed my cheek, and told me she knew I would come around because family is everything. For the next week, I didn't prepare a single ounce of food. I didn't bake a single layer of cake. Instead, I contacted the venue manager and the wedding coordinator. I informed them, in writing, that my business was in no way affiliated with this wedding, that the contracts bearing my business name were fraudulent, and that I was officially withdrawing any association with the event. Because my business was the only reason the venue allowed outside catering without a massive $10,000 deposit, the venue contract was suddenly in breach. However, I explicitly asked the coordinator not to notify my parents until 48 hours before the wedding, giving them just enough time to realize they were ruined, but not enough time to find a replacement. 2 days before the wedding, the bomb dropped. The venue called my parents and informed them that since my catering company had pulled out and flagged the contract as fraudulent, they would either need to pay a $15,000 emergency catering and venue fee up front, or the wedding would be canceled. My phone instantly blew up with dozens of calls and texts from my mother, my father, and Chloe. They were screaming, crying, and calling me a monster, a traitor, and a malicious psychopath. They begged me to just sign the paperwork and bring whatever food I could scrape together. I answered one call from my mother, and in a calm, cold voice, I said, "You threw my daughter's cake in the garbage because it took away from Chloe's spotlight. Let's see how bright Chloe shines with no food, no cake, and an empty venue." Then I blocked them again. The day of the wedding arrived, and from what Leo told me, it was an absolute disaster. My parents couldn't afford the $15,000 fee on such short notice, so the venue refused to allow any outside food or setup. Chloe's dream wedding turned into a dry reception with a few boxes of cheap, commercial pizza that my dad had to desperately order from a local chain, served on paper plates in a half-locked venue space. There was no wedding cake, no gourmet 5-course meal, and half the guests left early because they were starving and uncomfortable. Chloe spent her entire wedding night locked in the bridal suite, sobbing hysterically that I had ruined her life. My parents are now facing potential legal action from the venue for the fraudulent paperwork, and they have sent extended family members to harass me online, claiming that a dispute over a child's birthday cake shouldn't have resulted in the total destruction of my sister's wedding day. But honestly, I have never slept better. Lily and I are doing amazing, and my business is thriving without the toxic weight of my family dragging me down. Looking back on this entire mess, I realize that some people are so consumed by favoritism and selfishness that they will happily destroy your peace and expect you to thank them for the privilege. I refuse to be the doormat for a family that couldn't even respect my 7-year-old child. If you think I did the right thing by standing my ground and letting them face the consequences of their own actions, please like this video if you were on my side. Don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this, and definitely share your final thoughts on this whole mess in the comments section down below. I'll see you all in the next story.